Well, to get the jaggedness, I have to run them through my program, and that just happens to be through the use of this. Small test is what I use for the processing of this because, well, this is where I do all my automation stuff. And this is just the general area where I have it at the moment. Yeah, it kind of looks like a mess, but it's, if you don't know C programming, then yeah. What I need to do, however, is, yeah, I got all my testing stuff here. Let's see. I need to steal a template. Oh no, am I becoming a thief now? Nah, I'm just taking off existing stuff that I previously made myself. That needs to be an else. Yeah, I know about the existence of switch case, I just find it inconvenient for most of what I end up doing. Okay, this needs to be at the top. I need to update my template for that. Speaking of which, that's what I'm going to do. If I was going to be a 0 dot something, this, I can just leave that alone as is. That's good. And I don't know exactly what the scaling values were, so I need to look those up. So I just copy these numbers, 40, 41.25. In case you're wondering why I have a .0 at the end, that's because this is a double. And making that, adding that at the end, enforces that. So let's see, next is 44.5 and 52. $68, 100. $160, and then there's a bunch of random stuff. Well, stuff in a pattern, so I'll skip those. As you can tell, it always steps by 128, although there's a 768 and the sections up here, as you can see that. So there's patterns present. I'm going to make use of that. But there's oddballs, 1376 and 1408. That's all the major ones I need, so I don't need any of that. Don't need that either. So for this one, I'm just going to grab from this because there's an obvious pattern present. And it steps by 128, and let's see. Would it be 6, 8? Yeah, it's an unsigned integer, so I don't need the .0 at the end. Let's see. This would be 17 and 18, so this would be number 8. Yeah, I was right on that. So 8 minus 6 is 2 times 128, 256. Yep, that makes sense. So that part lines up. And as far as the jaggedness goes, what does this mean, you're probably wondering? Well, the higher this is, the smoother the result is. Seems strange, but yes. So, as you can, just to give you an idea on this, you know how jagged the Sentis Mountains were, right? Current world 10. Look how low that number is. Wow, that low. And it's no kidding, those mountains are really jagged like crazy. But these ones, the Keverin Mountains, I need to change that. Keverin Mountains are fairly smooth. That's basically what I have for the group. But yes, need to get this temporary stuff out of the way. And because these are the most jagged of the group for the Keverin Mountains, I need to look up World 5, Jaggedness Base. Wow, okay, Urus Hills, that one. Let's see, so it'd have to be better than that, lower number than that, that is. So let's see, 2, 3, 2, and from this point on I just make up some random numbers, just for quite a ways anyway. And as far as this one goes, It needs to be greater than this. This basically determines how much of a difference in the angle there is. The higher this is, the more jagged the end result will be. After all, compare this 13.8 for Lake Keverin to the really jagged Sentis Mountains at over 39. Yeah, there's big angle changes there. So, in this case, let's see. It's more jagged than Lake Keverin. So I'm going to say 15.72 and other stuff at the end. Okay. What else do I need to adjust? Do I want this offset here? You're probably wondering, why do I have this in here? Seems kind of strange. Well, the reason for this is because weathering and erosion. And it also makes them look more realistic too, because, well, the lower foothills just before the main mountains have undergone more weathering and erosion. So, they're not going to be as jagged. And thus, that's why I have this in here, to make them even more jagged than they need to be. Or less jagged, I mean. Bigger number means it's going to be less jagged, or smoother, basically. And from there, that's basically what I'm thinking. But do I want to have that added in or not? After all, I cannot have jaggedness, the end result, be less than 1. It's this times this times this. But since this times this is already over 1, there isn't a problem with that. Sometimes it does take me some time to think, but I'm kind of leaning against it because Lake Keverin did not have that. And neither will Keverin Forest when I redo that world, along with the Ronisa Plains. Which, then again, now that I think about it, Ronisa Plains is probably about as jagged as World 5 is, because here in World 4 you're right in the middle of those mountains. So I guess that does make sense. And yeah, I got a lot of variable declarations up here, all these doubles and floats. Normally I comment on what these are and what they do and stuff. Yeah, fclose, closing files. And it's this familiar looking path that I use a lot of. Automation results, because that's what this is. Automation. And just some initialization and stuff that I got quite often. Some temporary things. %s. I love these. I use them a lot. Even in when I stream my gameplay, I often put programming things in here, and what do you know? There's those %s things that I have. And of course, you got the other things. Still gotta wonder what those blue and magenta flags are, don't you? Well, they will be declassified. I'll tell you that. They'll be declassified even before the release. So, of course, some things just have some things that I need to deal with. Fatal error. That's because there's if that's can't be found, for example, then there's going to be some major problems, because it can't do anything. And here, the program simply won't do anything, so it just saves processor cycles. The highest for the number of layers is 35, so I have that set like that. Of course, I could have as a function parameter or something, but it's more simpler that way, since this is just my automation routine and nothing really special. And after all these parameter adjustings that I have, here's more of that stuff. %02D. Yeah, leading zeros, 2 characters being used, D for an integer type with parameters. And as you can tell, I got some random numbers in here. srand. Yeah, I know. Random double. Yeah, it's because I'm generating random numbers. And that's basically how I have things set up. Of course, this I could actually simplify. Get rid of all these %s. This % means a modulo instead of taking a percentage. In case you're wondering, 11% 4 would actually be 3, because the modulo of 11 divided by 4 is 3. In case you're wondering what that means. And we've got some skipping and a lot of other kind of stuff in here. Scanning the image to log the starting and ending points. Nothing really special here. Errors. An assortment of errors. Yeah, arctangent functions. Stage 5, quite a ways in. Averaging slopes. Funny, you got 2 stage 5s. Interesting. Oh well, easy enough to fix. Next row, 9s. This is just debugging stuff so I can hit a breakpoint, such as this. If I encountering a problem just a little bit before that, I can examine, see what's going on, in case you're wondering what all that's about. It's a common technique I use. Ooh my, what a mess. Angle check, that was one of those temporary things. This way I can convert radians, which I don't really use that often, don't understand it too well, but I know what they are, because I work with them quite often. So that's how I have that in there. Cone slope, rather complicated. This is pi, in case you're wondering, to a lot of digits. Copied from calculator. Since there doesn't seem to be cosecant or secant functions, I kind of had to do a little change on that. Seal, round up. Needs to round a number up, is all that does. There's other ways of doing that. Temporary stuff that I have here. Now look at this complicated formula. Except in this case I have the ambient based on 0, completely nothing, because I can just simply set the layer opacity, for which I'll be doing later on. And of course the maximum, well, that's dealt with as well, that's 1. Rounding for the adding of the half. Of course you got to make sure it's within bounds, otherwise it's going to look funny. And this would be a stage 7. Reading the file. Completion progress, I'm just reporting a return. And that's basically all I have for the entire routine. Yeah, I just tried various stuff here, but this is my lighting formula. Just look how long and complex this is. Oh my goodness, what a mess. All these sines and cosines. Oh my. And of course, if you looked at that artwork post on my forum involving the processing of the trees, you'll actually see something almost exactly like this. That's because this is the lighting formula I gave to Caterpillius so he can work on the trees. Or at least how I use it anyway. So, what next? I need to run the program. Save all, run. Of course it needs to compile. It got a lot of warnings, but all that's because of things like scanf and stuff like that. Yeah, lots of automation stuff. So why did that take so long? It's loading the jaggedness layer. So I want world 4 be 5. Yep, see, that's what that error is all about. So 17, I'm going to do the real one now. This just reports my progress on the routine anyway. Whoa, it's really getting rather slow. But then again, my CPU is being hogged up from recording this video. This may take a while. It's nice reporting progress checks. In case you're wondering, that's what this over here is all about. Notice all those %2Ds. Notice how there's a gap right in here that's unexpected, but it fills in later. Yep, that's what that's all about. It's pretty complicated math and all this. After all, remember all these sines and cosines. Ooh, boy, what a mess. That lighting formula is so complicated. getting close. There's 18 layers. There's 120 in this total set, in case you're wondering on that. These are going a little faster because they're a little shorter because it's the end of the mountain range. And these ones go by pretty fast because they're really short. And since it's all done, I just hit 0 for quit, and that's it. Now what? Okay, so what happened? Well, that's where the next stage of the process comes in. This I no longer need, so I can close that. Reopen this. Hey, what do you know? Everything's back again. Except I need to go run through that process once more. What process? First, of course, there's the positioning of the window as before. I need to go by and get rid of all those shape layers. Just save them, right? And of course, if I have to make an adjustment, that's easy enough to make. So, let's see, there's 120, and so it'd be faster selecting everything and hiding the ones that I want to keep. Basically, it's a reverse of what I originally had. I'll delete until further notice because this is going to take a while. Okay, that's all the shape layers. Next up, merge them all. I should see this drop by 120, so it should be 85. 86. Okay, what's the problem? That's because it merged them all into this one layer. Simply delete it and I'm good to go. Now, all I need to do is import all those extra layers. The lighting, except I gotta find it. Obviously I want to save first. Yeah, image number 248. It's not the highest I've seen. I've seen it over 3,000. Or was it 6,000? You know, that aside, all I gotta do now is open it. Except I don't want the screenshots one. I want in here. Same format, except I referenced this one instead. Except I'm referencing not the 40. But I need the farthest one first. That way I could just simply go up. Have the base. Let's see. I should probably reduce the image to 384. Why am I doing that? That way when the layer actually appears, I'll be able to work with it more easily. I'm going to reduce this. 4x zoom. Now I do the importing. What do you know? It actually looks different. It's actually got a smooth gradient here. After all, zoom in a lot closer and you can see that. It even looks kind of random. It's very difficult to make out the fuller details, however. But I just go by and import every single one of these. Of course, there's more to it than that. So what else is there? I want to verify that everything that I want is, well, what I want. So let's consider this one. Layer 7. Okay, well, let's see. What is that up in here then? Here's all these world references. Layer 7 is the one at 160. Okay, so that's going to be rather far. And thus, as a consequence, it's not all that smooth. Or rough. But it is kind of rough in a way. To simulate full screen, here that is. Don't look too bad. Okay, so I'm just going to Z that out. I'm going to bring in one that's a lot closer. Hey, what do you know? That's a lot different. Okay. Because if I'm not satisfied with it, I'll just rerun the program. Let's see, I'll take this one instead. As you can tell here, this definitely looks more like it. So yep, it definitely looks right from what I can tell. I'm going to skip ahead to 6. This is actually, I think, about what Lake Kevern had, kind of. Okay, I'm good to go. 18, number 15. So, you now have an idea on what they look like with the jaggedness and how it ran through my program okay. What does this jaggedness layer look like? Well, I'll have to finish processing the importing of these anyway, and I'll show you at the end. But trust me, it's really jagged, rough. Yeah, I'm fast with this as well. And with all these layers, I need to go by and clear them all out. So why did I do them in reverse order? Remember how my system was? With one at the very, in the front left? Well, that's what I need. So clear these out. Got these stupid fly buzzing around bothering me. Just clicking the black area is all I really do. And by making the image narrower like I did, it makes it, I can switch between layers a lot more quickly, and I can move them more easily too. Plus they appear in a more convenient spot. I'll be showing this in a bit, but I need to finish processing these. Last one of these. The black is gone. Now I go about moving all of these. Okay, so which one is it? Well, it ain't this one, and there's a peak over here. It's gotta be this one. But it flows over to the on the left here, right? I need to duplicate it and move it across to the other side, so that way I still get the tiling. Normally I'd be using 4x zoom for this. Jump to the next one and repeat. Now you see how why I had the processing the way I did it? That way everything is standardized. The layer on the top is drawn first. These are pretty much mutually exclusive from each other, so that isn't going to affect anything. Now for the ones in the back, these are done in the same fashion. Left to right, as you can tell, you can't see this part or this part. That's why I have it in the way I did it. This already sets that up so I don't have to go around shuffling layers. Now it may seem like the edge of this, or one of these, nope, it's not this layer, it's another one that I'm thinking of. So I don't need this one being included, but I need to merge all of these into one. Simple enough, isn't it? This I rename to, I just copy this except I append lighting at the end. Mounts 1408 lighting. Simple enough, right? And as the way my lighting formula has it for how it's done, I need 50% opacity, and this needs to be multiplied so that way I get the darkening effect. using shades of gray, of course. And this I need to, actually I don't need to really do that, but it would be nice. Layer crop. This I'm just gonna free select basically. And that's it. That's how that's done. These ones are a little bit bigger. Reference the base. Since I just finished one, save, and repeat for the next higher one. By going in reverse order from farthest to closest, guess what? The next one I need is right there. Of course, these ones are really far away, so you really can't see much in the way of detail on them. Of course, with only 8 of them, this goes by even faster. And throw these over here. And, oh, that does not match. Next one over. It's really simple once you get the hang of it. This one needs a loop back, so duplicate it and move it over here. I also make sure the distance moved is about the kind of size I'm expecting. One of the reasons I use small powers of 2 simplifies things. That one's right at the very edge. And those ones are now done. Mounts 1376 lighting. 57 spec 3. Multiply on this. Crop layer, and that one's done. Of course, for the 1280, I can't just use this as is because these were up here. Remember? I need this. Don't really need that. And it's the fact these ones are inconsistent. I should probably fix that because it's going to get annoying real quick. I can see that coming. Of course, that's because of this one, but that's no big deal there. Simple enough. But now that that's on the horizon, the lighting needs to be above this one. Now watch the image here. I'm going to zoom in so you can watch what the effect is. Notice how it's on divide mode? Hey, it got brighter. What do you know? That's all that layer is all about. Nothing more than that. Of course, I need to save, and lots of importing again. That's out of the way. I don't really need all of this, but I do need a fair amount of it at least. So, move these over here. Not a match. It's this one. Got the hang of my routine here? 256, that's what I'm expecting. And all these are imported. Merge them all. Mine's 1280 lighting. Now you see why I renamed this to old? This way I can have the actual, so I can distinguish from the original, which kinda doesn't really look too decent, compared to the new one. So 57 spec 3, multiply, and these usual ones. And there you have the final end result as to what these look like. Crop layer, and on to the next closer one. Above lighting lit. And I should go by and fix all these so it's constant. There's all those. So this is now ready to go. 11:52. Lighting lit. Save my progress and off I go again. Just about done with this layer. This one does overflow over the 512, but because this part is not visible, just to show you what I mean, you can see how it's 514 here for the X. It overflows past the point of repeating. However, because it's not visible, as you can tell it's only 500 basically, I don't have a need for duplicating it. So, that part is done. 57.3. They sure really got a lot of detail in now, huh? Compared to what they were for those initial ones. Yep, that program is all set for accounting for the distance as well. So it scales with that. One to go. And that's these little tiny ones here. Yeah, I know I went on another day at it because I was getting too tired. And yes, Jeremy's house does have 35 layers of hills. It's a lot. Sure is a lot. Miss. Accuracy helps too, of course. Last thing you want to do is you, well, miss. You don't get any progress when you miss. It's got to be this one here. I do a quick drag just to bring it from just a little bit out of view into view. It's more convenient, and I forgot the overflow. I do that on occasion, but when I notice the oddball there like that, then yeah. Let's see, should be number 6 next. And of course my mouse glitches on me. Release the button and all of a sudden the mouse jerks up 1 pixel out of nowhere. Even though I'm trying to keep the mouse as perfectly still as I can, it still happens. And it's annoying. The scroll wheel's even more annoying though. Let's see, that's 252. Sure, yep, it goes over, but this is within the range, so not a problem. Hills 40 lighting. 57 spec 3. And from there, you need to determine the bounds. All of these are done. But there's more to it than just this, of course. Because remember all these output layers here, like this one here, for example? I need to form those now. Yeah, remember this? I need to get that. And the best way to do that is, well, instead of merging images, I use flatten because it preserves accuracy, or at least as much as possible. And just ZZZ, paste, and there you have it. I'll leave the black in for now. So let's see, base lighting, repeat the process. Yeah, it looks like quite a mess, doesn't it? All those layers coming back in. I'm going to use 2x. I can get a sense of what it would look like in full screen, if that were to be the case. I still wonder what my game looks like in full screen, with the same degree of sharpness. Certainly a big improvement, isn't it, compared to the original version. Looks like I forgot to crop that layer. Oh well, that does happen. But that fix is really quick and easy. Just do my usual routine for that. Because otherwise it may produce some odd effects. Although I do have a black background, that isn't going to have as much of an effect. But now for these ones, I do things a little differently. I need the base, I need the grass, I need the lighting lit for the extra brightness, and I need the actual lighting itself. And from there, that's when I can produce the output. And strangely, oh yeah, now I remember. Doesn't seem like there's anything in the way of grass, but if you look closely, you can see it right there. Zoom in a lot, and it's a little easier to see. And 768. Now you see why I have that? That's the new, this is the old. New, old. Why is there a difference here? That's strange. That is odd. Interesting. Why is that different? I'm confused. Okay, well, here's this. It's offset by 29 pixels. Wonder how that happened. Wonder if that's why there's another inconsistency. I'll have to look into that. Okay. So, I'm going to look at these. Okay, no problem there. They're correct as is. I wonder if it's just a oddball that I have, because that is not normal. Either way, let's see. The base, the grass, lighting lit, and lighting. Okay, I'm going to remember the position of this leftmost peak right here. It's about 12 and 13. It's kind of on the margin there. These are moved. Yep, I saw that. So I wonder where there's an inconsistency. Huh. Oh well, I can always adjust that as needed. That's simple enough. It's probably because I forgot to move all the stuff over as needed. $10.24. Yep, all these ones are moved. These odd ones up here. Yeah, these really have nice grass detail on these. These are among my favorites in the bunch. $11.52, also the same. Of course, I am not expecting another redo on any of these. As you can tell on these have almost complete grass, except for the bottom where it's still got some sand from the desert. Hey, are these actually right? Nope, they're different. Figures. Almost looked like they were. So, from this, now it's all the grass only ones. They sure look a lot different, don't they? What do you know, these are actually right. See, no change on those, so I wonder why it's those that are odd. And from here, once that's all done, save my progress again. Next, I get rid of this annoying black that I don't need. Yeah, you can really start seeing the details on these. And those are all now done. But I want to go by and readjust these weird ones that are not aligned properly all the same way. Make that one transparent so that way I can adjust. Let's see, 29 left. Remember this from my older videos? Since I want to go left, I take from the left side. Copy it, clear, select all, move to the left. Paste what I copied over here, and there you have it, realigned. Very simple, isn't it? And these ones, let's see, here's this peak, and the final one in the bunch. Okay, which is kind of confusing. Okay, it's this one right there. Opaque to transparent, 87 left. And that concludes that. Save that progress. So now what? Now I go by and save every one of these images to my final output. So in this case the order makes no difference. Start with the 40. For speed reasons I'm going to use this. I don't remember what the maximum is, but just pick something rather high. And let's see, image crop. There's a lot of content there to deal with. And these are hills. Copying the basic format that I have, and yes, I will be overwriting these, but I do need to make a backup. I'll cover that in a bit. So make sure that all matches, and yes, TGA because I have transparency here. Don't want RLE compression, it makes things more complicated for the loading of the image. I will be adding compression since I've worked out my system that I want, which will be using my own format, but I don't intend on doing that until I'm done with, well, working on this, my game that is, as a whole. But 40, the zeros, the first 4 digits represent the whole value. There are exceptions to that, and only 2 exceptions. The Earth and Mars from the space bases, they just have a K at the end. But this one has 41.25. Anything else after the first 4 digits represents fractional values. It's a system I've had for a very, very long time. Okay, the next one is 44.5. This one goes all the way over. Just one too many 4s. Of course, I could go by and get rid of all the junk layers that I don't need. So, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to really simplify this. So that way it's easier to find these things. 100, 160, 256, 384, 512. Always stepping by 128. Then your odd 1376 and 1408. Get rid of all those. And this one's my next one because 44.5. Yep, that's what I need. Only 2 to go. And now that all the saving is done, for at least those anyway, now I need to copy and paste what I just saved into the new actual folder where I have my game engine loading stuff. This calls for, I think you can figure it out, right? Yep, backup folder I need to get rid of. I do routine backup, so I don't risk losing anything anywhere near as much. Temp, but unfortunately I'm going to have to delete out of the video because classified contents. K Desert Hills Mounts. Okay, these are the ones I need. So what about the backup then? Well, I'm going to be getting at that next. 19 objects. Oh, that's why. I have an old version there. Yeah, August 2010. Yeah, okay, that sure says a lot, doesn't it? Here's a June 2010. But 18 objects, that's what I had. Now to go transfer that into here. There is no classified content here. See? Well, unfortunately there was actually some classified contents. There was something I didn't think about was there, but was there. But for backups, this is what I need. I only got 18 objects, no change there. WinZip, add to zip file. All these backups here that I got, nothing classified there. Let's see, this is Cavaran Desert BG Hills Mounts Backup does it. Just a quick backup is all this is. And yeah, the two-tone lighting system's major advantage is this. It compresses so ridiculously well. All the gradients from the grass, after all, from this one, you remember how that one was? Yeah, it doesn't compress too well, but all the other ones do really well. Like this 200:1 compression. It's actually over 200:1. The which ratio would show like 200:1 or something like that instead of the percentage. Percentage makes sense when it's less than like 90% compression. Like this, for example, it would be like an 8:1. But that aside, that's all I needed to do. Close that because I don't need it. Now I paste in all those. Yes to all. They've all been updated. So what's the next step? I want to look and see what they look like. But you're probably also thinking, what about that jaggedness image? What does that look like? Well, I'll show you that. This will take some time for it to load. Whoa, what a mess, isn't it? Of course, if you'd actually zoom into actual size, drawing failed. So this program is just not capable of it. Thus, I have to do another method. I'm already in that folder. What do you know? This program can, but tick, tick, tick. And if you notice that file size there, no wonder. Oh my, look how messy this is. Yeah, I just generated the image, and yeah, that explains why the file size is so big. And from using grayscale, it just makes things a lot easier. As you can tell, zooming out a little bit, it's, well, a lot different. There is some limitations that I have with GIMP, and that's the tiling, because they're mosaic thing, filters, let's see, how did I do this? Distorts, mosaic. This is what I used to generate this, by the way. Tile height, okay, tile spacing, I would like this to be 0, so I can get rid of these lines here, which are really annoying. If I remembered, I used this and this. Light direction was a 45. Color variation, this I adjust every now and then, like 50. Neatness, make it as random as possible, and that's basically how it goes. Of course, I have my background and foreground colors set, but that just gives you the idea on how I have things set up. So, what does it look like in the game engine? Well, that's the next thing I need to do, but for that I need to load this again, and instead of this program, it's this one. And as you can tell, yeah, I got the subsystem Windows, but SDL was still having the extra window coming up for some unknown reason. That's one of the problems I had with converting to SDL. I've had this before Platform Masters even existed, by the way. Yeah, before Platform Masters even existed. It was with the Supernatural Olympics version 3 that I was working on, but it's now in my abandoned bin. But since I don't need to do anything, all I gotta do is just hit play and off I go. I know it's not the Sentis Mountains, it's instead Keverin Desert. And here's what they look like. However, there is another redo I'm considering. Oh no, now what? It's with these sand dunes, but it's a really quick redo. Note how this is very bright, and this is only half as bright. Okay, now to show you these Keverin Mountains, this is very bright, this is not half as bright, it's more like 3/4. That's the only change I plan on doing. And to show you the higher areas, I made his jumping ability so much higher, considering you can actually upgrade it far more than what I have here, way more. You can actually see how the Keverin Mountains look like at a distance. And another thing I'm actually considering is, this is Lake Keverin instead of the ocean. Seems strange, but yes, I am actually considering that. And another thing to consider, the distance from here to here on that farm field is exactly 32 times the width of this screen, compressed down to only about 20 pixels. Yep, right here to right there, only 20 pixels. Now that is small. But that aside, Lake Keverin is really what I'm considering making this. And, well, that pretty much concludes my details on how I applied the jaggedness. When I come to doing the other worlds, I'll be doing the same thing. Almost. There will be some adjustments. This video was created by Ulillillia. Thank you for watching, and enjoy this supersonic fall. Isn't it fun going super fast?